Hi everyone, welcome back. Last lessons can have a we've learned many things new, include two types of interval qualities, which are major and minor. We also learned major and minor second, major and minor third, as well as the interval inversions, which lead us to the major and minor sixth, major and minor seventh. It's like tongue twister. Now let's listen to those intervals together. Now I will play all those intervals we learned in the last lesson on the keyboard. This is minor second. We can tell that it sounds very dissonant, like those two notes are not blended very well with each other, and this is major second. It's still dissonant, but a little bit better than the minor second. And then we go for minor and major third. This is minor third, and this is major third. They both sound a little bit more consonant than the second, right? And because the sevenths are the inversion of the second, which means they're using exact the same notes, just with different orders. So the minor and major seventh sound very dissonant too, just like the minor and major second. So similarly, minor and major sixth is just like minor and major third. They're not that dissonant, but still dissonant, not very consonant. So what I want to tell you here is that each intervals has their own characteristic. Like some of them are blended very well, they're very consonant, and some of them are blended not that well, they're very dissonant. Like the major and minor second and seventh or so. So in this lesson, we're going to learn several intervals that sound very pure. They are perfect fourth and perfect fifth, unison and octaves. Let's listen to those several intervals. They all sound really pure and not dissonant at all. I didn't change my clothes during when I record this class. I just record it in different times. Some of them are recorded in the summer, and some of them are recorded, in September, October, anytime. It's a little bit weird, but let's start the lesson. Just like major and minor, perfect is just another interval quality. It is called perfect because of the relative purities of their sound. So unison, fourth, fifth, and octaves, they cannot be called either minor or major. The quality of them, they're called perfect. So it's perfect first, perfect eighth, perfect fourth, and perfect fifth. Where the perfect first and perfect eighth we can call unison and octave. Let's now listen to those perfect intervals and feel how consonant they are, like how different they are with the major and minor intervals. So first of all, let's take unison, just one note. This is pretty consonant. And octave is just two exact same notes in different octaves, so it sounds pretty much like just one note too. And then it's perfect fourth. You can hear that the sound is pretty pure, especially when we compare it to minor second or major second. Let's compare them together. And perfect fifth sounds like perfect fourth. It's also very pure. Now the question is, how many semitone or whole tones the perfect fourth and perfect fifth contains? Because unison and octave is just very easy to calculate because there's just one note out there. But perfect fourth and perfect fifth is a little bit complicated. Let's take a review of the last lesson. We know that minor second only contains one semitone. From here to here, just one semitone, the smallest distance. And the major second contains one more semitone than the minor second. So it contains one whole tone. And then one more semitone, we go for minor third. And then one more semitone, we go for major third, where major third contains two whole tones. Just exactly like this pattern, the perfect fourth contains one more semitone than the major third. So it contains two whole tones plus one semitone. If we represent this interval in the keyboard, it's going to be from here to here. One whole tone, two whole tone plus one semitone. And then notice that the pattern here is a little bit different because perfect fifth contains one more whole tone than perfect fourth. So perfect fifth contains three whole tones plus one semitone. So you may want to ask a question that what is the interval between the perfect fourth and perfect fifth? Because perfect fifth contains one more whole tone than perfect fourth. So there should be one more interval that just contains one more semitone than the perfect fourth. So what is this? To answer this question, I need to introduce two more interval qualities besides major, minor, and perfect. I promise these two qualities are the last two names of interval qualities we're going to learn, because in all the common used interval there is no more other quality. So there are augmented and diminished. Notice that the augmented or diminished intervals could also be used for any like second, third, sixth, or seventh. I didn't introduce them because they're not that common use. Only the augmented fourth and diminished fifth are very common used in our lesson. If there is one more semitone than the perfect fourth, we got augmented fourth. It read as A4. Okay, here's C, F. For augmented fourth, we just use F sharp. So one more semitone than the C and F. If we want to write it as a fifth rather than a fourth, then we just use one less semitone than the perfect fifth. Such as this is C and G, we just use G flat here to represent a diminished fifth. You may notice that the F sharp and G flat are exactly the same notes. So these two intervals exactly sound the same and represent the same on the keyboard, but it just read different. One is augmented fourth, another one is diminished fifth. There are just two ways to write this interval. So augmented fourth or diminished fifth, it contains three whole tones. So that's why it's called tritone. Fourth or fifth, we can build on the white keys are all perfect fourth or perfect fifth, except from F to B or from B to F. For example, perfect fourth, perfect fourth, perfect fourth, augmented fourth. So F and B are the two notes on white keys can be built as augmented fourth or diminished fifth. Here I made a chart of all the intervals within one octave. The red color intervals are common used intervals and what you need to learn and remember in this class. The gray colors are used very seldomly. Here we can clearly see that which interval sizes can be either minor or major and which interval sizes can only be perfect. And most importantly, all the interval sizes can be either augmented or diminished, except diminished first because there is obviously no interval that's smaller than unison. But the only common used augmented and diminished intervals are just augmented fourth and diminished fifth. In the last lesson, we've learned inversion of the intervals. Let's take a review now. We know that an interval could be inverted by reversing its upper and lower notes, and an interval and its inversion can be combined to make up an octave, such as 2nd and 7th, 3rd and 6th, and we know that major invert to minor and minor inverts to major. So in this lesson, just like 2nd, 7th, and 6th, and 3rd, 4th and 5th are also inversion to each other. Because 4 plus 5 are equal to 9, and we know that an interval and its inversion should be equal to 9. However, the inversion of the perfect quality is still perfect, and for augmented, its inversion is diminished. So that perfect fourth inverted to perfect fifth, and augmented fourth could be inverted to diminished fourth. And they can also be combined to make up an octave, just like we've learned in the last lesson. So this pattern shows all the common use quality of intervals and their inversion. Major invert to minor, perfect invert to perfect, augmented inverts to diminished. So in this lesson, we've learned perfect intervals. Thus, so far we've already know all the common use intervals within an octave. So next lesson, we just need to make a conclusion and have a look at some more types of not that common use intervals. See you next time.